Mazel tov to Rachel and Daniel Small on the birth of a baby boy. Wow, what a great simcha. We hope they'll be able to, Mitzvah Hashem, raise him, l'torah, l'chuppah, l'masim tovim. As you undoubtedly know, we had the great blizzard of Yerushalayim of 2013. It was a very exciting and rather, I would say, even ordeal. An exciting ordeal, to say the least, and there were many, many experiences that the Bachim of the Yeshiva had in the course of this period of time, and I think Baruch Hashem were able to somehow get together, and as a result of the snow, somehow, in some respects, it actually brought a lot more achdus to Klal Yisrael here in Eretz Yisrael, certainly in Yerushalayim HaKodesh, where people were helping each other. Mi ki amcha Yisrael goyach ha'aretz. In this week's parsha, I thought I would address for just a moment or two the issue of Hakaras HaTov. The Torah says, "Vayakam melech chadash al Mitzrayim, asher lo yadas Yosef." A king who somehow did not know whom Yosef was. Yosef had salvaged the entire Egyptian economy. He saved the entire Egyptian nation. And suddenly we have a king who does not know whom Yosef is. Kayadua, there's a well-known machlokas between Rav and Shmuel, whether it was Chadash Mamish or Nischatshuk Zerosa. But whatever the case is, whether he was a new king or the same king with a new kind of reign, we have all kinds of terrible decrees that the Torah describes, throwing Jewish male babies into the river, and the Rishonim point out that action of this kind would be intolerable, even that Yosef had not been so good to them. Why would the king impose such terrible things upon people living in his land? What makes his actions even more deplorable, he should have had some degree of Hakaras HaTov, the most fundamental of all the character traits the Rishonim point out. All the good that Yosef had done for the land, the people of Egypt, and the Balei HaTosfos point out that Paro had some degree of gratitude to Yosef, and they were declared that his descendants, the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, would be able to leave Mitzrayim whenever they wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael, even during the height of the bondage. Although it's a tremendous chiddush, it teaches us that Paro's Hakaras HaTov should be extended to the entire nation of Klal Yisrael. And Chazal say, if today he doesn't know Yosef, tomorrow he's going to say, as he did, Mi Hashem asher eshma b'kol l'shalach es Yisrael. He doesn't even know Hashem. One who denies the good the person, someone else has done for me, in the end, will deny the good that Hashem has done for me. And there's a well-known story I heard from the Rosh Yeshiva, Harav Gusman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, that he referred to a Shittin Kubetz in Baba Kama on Daf Tzadik Beis. The Shittin Kubetz tells us that the Rif was once a guest at the home of a very wealthy individual. His host owned a bathhouse and invited the Rif, would you like to make use of it? The Rif said yes, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. After a period of time, the wealthy Jew lost all of his possessions and had to sell his bathhouse in order to pay off all his creditors. So both the buyer and seller asked that the Rif assess the value of the bathhouse and preside over any din Torah that would ensue. The Rif refused, saying, how can I rule regarding a Beis HaMerchatz that gave me such pleasure, such hana? So one should note, he didn't refer to Hakaras HaTov he had towards the owner, but to the bathhouse. Following the footsteps of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rif would not involve himself in the case, even regarding an inanimate object, which he had derived benefit. So Rav Gusman Zatzal, the Rosh Yeshiva of Netzach Yisrael in Yerushalayim, used to personally water the bushes in front of the front garden of the yeshiva. Even though he was a great Talmid Chacham, one of the great Dolei Ador, he was a dayan on the Bezdin of Chaim Ozer when he was 19, 20 years old, and yet he would water the plants. Why did he need to do so himself? Wasn't there a gardener who took care of the gardening? So Rav Gusman answered that was his Hakaras HaTov. When he fled from Vilna, either from the communists or the Nazis, he hid behind bushes in order to evade his pursuers. Those bushes saved his life, and to show Hakaras HaTov, he watered them. Well, these are the same plants that saved him? No. Those bushes were in Vilna, and his yeshiva was in Yerushalayim. The answer is it was the min, tzemach, the species of plant that saved him. He felt Hakaras HaTov towards all of them. This is the yesod that we have to be cognizant of, to be makir tov to our parents who raise us, to be makir tov to our wives, to be makir tov to our rabbeim, to be makir tov to the yeshivas that we learned in. Hakaras HaTov's most fundamental principle, says the Chovos HaBavos in Kol HaTorah Kula. Let us try our best to be makir tov to all those who have provided us with any kind of benefaction, and if we're able to be makir tov to them, then we'll certainly be makir tov to Ribono Shel Olam for all the chesed that He bestows upon us. the question of the week that was asked regarding davening in a conservative synagogue. This issue was the subject of a discussion among many poskim. There are tshuvas of the Igros Moshe, Rav Moshe Feinstein Zatzal, regarding this matter, and other poskim as well. Of course, it's certainly not the ideal venue. Once you try to daven in a makom tefillah, which obviously is possessing of a mechitza, a proper mechitza. Once you try to daven in a minyan where one's kavanah can be heightened, where one can actually connect with Hashem Yisbarach, with the Almighty. Once you try to daven in a minyan which will elevate me, which will in effect give me a tremendous sense of hislavus, of excitement, of connectiveness and bonding with Hashem. So clearly it's not ideal to daven in a conservative synagogue, and especially if we're talking about a conservative synagogue that does not have a mechitza, or for that matter, a conservative synagogue that does not utilize an Orthodox siddur. There are many Orthodox siddurim, and so one should try to avoid going to a conservative synagogue and try to maximize one's kavan and tefillah by davening dafka in an Orthodox kind of context. Be well and have a wonderful Shabbos of Hashem, and continue to have atzlacha in all of your endeavors.